Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. We're coming to you from the Area Command 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. As we've been doing for quite some time, we would like to start off this program with the singing of the national anthem, and just prior to that, the Pledge of Allegiance. I would ask now for everyone to please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now would you make welcome, straight from Washington, D.C., the United States Army Corps Quartet.
Yeah.
Say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
America's finest, the United States Army Barbershop Quartet, performing at the Barbershop Quartet Convention in 2015. The host of the Barbershop Quartet Convention gave us the Pledge of Allegiance, and of course, the United States Army Barbershop Quartet gave us the national anthem of the United States, and we appreciate that very much. We appreciate all of our armed forces, men and women, wherever they might be around this globe. It doesn't matter whether they are the Army, the Marine Corps, the Air Force, the Navy, the Coast Guard, Space Force, whatever they are. It doesn't matter. We appreciate our armed forces, men and women around the globe. Every time I see a uniformed member of our service, I go up to them, shake their hand, and tell them, thank you for your service. And I mean that sincerely. I always do that, always, without any other hesitation. I always thank them for their service. I want to thank all of our allied men and women and their armed forces around the country and around the world. God bless you all. May you all return home to your families after your tours of duty end. And thank you all for your service. God bless you all. Folks, we have quite a bit to talk to you about tonight. The first thing I want to talk to you again is about Iceland. Iceland is still moving. Last night we showed you this photograph coming from Iceland. Approximately a 4.3 kilometer eruption happened in Iceland. A 4.3 kilometer, approximately 3 miles. Folks, I want to show you what happened. Okay? I want to show you what happened. See this line that runs from Grindavik north? That yellow line there? That is where the eruption happened. North of Grindavik. Before the eruption, this slide shows you all of the earthquakes that happened just prior to last night's eruption. Last night's eruption happened at approximately 22:35 hours, 10:35 p.m. local time. The earthquakes happened before that. All of the red and yellow earthquakes happened. We had 5.0s, we had 4.3s, we had 3.5s, we even had some 2.8s. All of these earthquakes happened yesterday. All of them happened yesterday. USGS showed us one earthquake. What a joke. What a frickin' joke. With all of these earthquakes here. And the real kicker is the EMSC, the European agency that should have shown all of these earthquakes. The European agency showed 40. Showed 40. It's a sad state of affairs when our agencies refuse to be honest with us. There were a lot more than 40 earthquakes that hit Iceland yesterday. And why did they happen? Because, folks, the magma beneath the surface was trying to rise. There was a lot of magma pressure, there was a lot of gas emissions happening. SO2, sulfur dioxide, CO2, carbon dioxide, trying to make their way up to the surface. And they did. As we said, there was an eruption last night. A beautiful eruption. Okay? I'm just going to say it was a beautiful eruption. Like this. Okay? This is the camera from Slingafjord. Okay? Showing a magma eruption. Huge fissures had opened up. Huge monster fissures opened up. Now, this happened right after 10:35 p.m. But that's not all, folks. There's more. Let me bring up the information showing you what happened. Okay? This earthquake sequence and then the following volcanic eruption was impressive. Very impressive to say the least. One such place was right here. This eruption. Okay? It wasn't just the line of magma that came up, the lava that came up to the surface. It started off with one eruption at a volcano. This area here is now a volcanic cone with lava spilling down it. Now, what has happened since then? I want to speak to what has happened since then. I think all of us can stand amazed at what actually happened. I think we can all stand amazed at what actually happened. Today, it's completely different. Absolutely and completely different. There's only a couple fissures that are showing on cameras, like this picture here. Okay, you can still see the lava field from the eruption last night. In some camera, and I'm not going to show you all the camera views because I believe that's pointless. The camera views are sometimes obscured by heavy snow. Iceland is way up there near the Arctic Circle, just south of the Arctic Circle. They got a bunch of snow last night, and they're still getting snow. But as you can see, there's still some areas of eruption here. Fissures opened up. Fissures opened up spanning 4.3 kilometers, over 3 miles long. They expected this to happen. They fully expected this to happen. Now, what happened? What happened here? Okay? It's still ongoing. It's very much still ongoing. But I want to show you on a map of what exactly happened. I'm going to use this map right here. This is the area where the fissures opened up. And I did not include the top portion of this eruptive fissure. Okay? To the right, to the bottom right of this, there is a volcano there. It's not a stratovolcano, but it's a volcano. They actually thought that it might erupt, but it did not. The eruptive fissures opened up between several volcanic fields. The volcanic field to the left is a stratovolcano. This area is the valley beneath those, or not beneath, but between both of those volcanoes. Now, what really happened here is the people got very lucky. The scientists got very lucky. They thought that this exact thing was going to happen, and they were right. To the south, there is Grindavik, the small town of Grindavik, and there's small towns to the west and also to the east of this eruptive field. All of them got very lucky. Only Grindavik has been evacuated. The other towns have not. And right now, there are no volcanic gases that are dangerous to the public. If the worst case scenario does happen, and the eruptive field moves south, or the lava is erupting at such a rate that it would be moving south. They don't believe this is going to happen. But just saying here, the worst possible scenario is the volcanic fields. The fissures still erupt and more lava spills out of the fissures. And there is a possibility that that lava could go down between both of these volcanoes and continue moving south. And yes, it could go into Grindavik. They don't believe that will happen. This eruptive area right now, it is east of the power plant. It's east of the Blue Lagoon. The Blue Lagoon reopened yesterday, but when this erupted, everybody had already left. The Blue Lagoon closed at approximately 9 p.m. yesterday before the eruption happened. There were some earthquakes that happened, but nobody was evacuated from the Blue Lagoon. Fortunately, like I said, the Blue Lagoon has not been harmed. The power plant has not been harmed. As we reported to you about a week or so ago, when the earthquakes were starting to really settle down. Grindavik, there were very few earthquakes in the town of Grindavik. There were earthquakes to the north. But overall, the number of earthquakes went way down. No more than like 20, 25 per day. The number before that was anywhere from 125 to 1,000 a day. This went way, way down. Now, over to the right, over to the left, I get my directions straight here. Over to the left of that lava field, you see the Blue Lagoon, and you also see the power station. The power station had been building an earthen dam around the power station. They built an earthen dam. They also built a huge cinder block wall in case the lava started inching over towards the power station, that the power station could probably be saved from any damage. It still is in the stages of finishing. That huge earthen dam, that earthen wall around the power station, and the concrete block wall is in the stage of being finished right now. It is not in any kind of danger whatsoever. And the Blue Lagoon, the same thing. It's not in any kind of danger right now. And as I said just a few minutes ago, over to the left, to the east of that lava field that you see here marked in red, that is a stratovolcano. Down to the right, south and east of there, is another volcano. And you can see volcanoes all over this area. Further south, at the bottom of this slide, you see a partial part, the north side of Grindavik. Okay? It is still evacuated tonight. First responders, fire, medical, and police are standing by Grindavik. No, it's not in any kind of danger whatsoever. But they are there to protect the city if in the event something happens. The only people in the city of Grindavik are people that are part of the fishing industry, part of the harbor, unloading fish into Grindavik and transporting them away to places all over Iceland. That's what's going on. There are some other businesses there as well. Groups of people that have put their notice in that they want to be in their homes at least part of the time during the day can do so between 7 a.m. and 9 p.m. each day. One couple tried to do that yesterday until 9 p.m. They didn't want to leave. The police got a warrant for their arrest, and they left without the police arresting them. They didn't want to leave. They wanted to stay in their homes. And what do you know? 2.5 hours later, that huge fissure erupted to the north of them. We still don't know what's going to happen to Grindavik. There's still a possibility that the authorities will allow Grindavik to be returned to somewhat normal. Because right at this time, they don't believe that Grindavik is in any kind of danger at this point in time. They could stage another evacuation if they wanted to. If they wanted to. Now, as I have stated about Grindavik, there are quite a few fissures that opened up in the roadways inside Grindavik and outside Grindavik. Huge fissures opened up. Those are as a result of the earthquakes that happened there in Grindavik and there in Iceland on the Reykjanes Peninsula. It could happen still. As I explained in prior episodes of this program, we could still see the Mid-Atlantic Fault expand through Iceland here. It's expanding all up and down from the South Sandwich Islands in the South Atlantic all the way north of Iceland. The Mid-Atlantic Fault in the Atlantic Ocean is expanding, meaning it's breaking apart. The Atlantic Fault, for all intents and purposes, is pushing the North American Fault to the south-southwest. It's pushing Europe in an easterly direction. The Mid-Atlantic Fault runs smack dab through the center of Iceland. We believe, as well as most of the scientists believe, that the Atlantic Fault is partially responsible for a lot of the fissures that opened up here. Authorities are trying to assess, and they started refilling some of those fissures. They started refilling the fissures. Why? Because they wanted to open up the roads again. Well, some of those fissures were 25 meters deep. That takes an awful lot of fill to fill those fissures back up. But it's not just that. One side of a fissure rose probably close to 1 meter to 2 meters high than the other side of the fissure. So there's a real problem here. The authorities are going to have to plow the one side of the fissure down so it can be equal with the other side. Or they have to figure out how to join both sides of the roadway. That's what the authorities are trying to decide now, what they're going to do with the roadways. Some of the homes have been damaged, so they will never be able to be habitable again. That's another situation that has happened as a result of these earthquakes and a result of the magma beneath the surface. Now, with everything going on, it will be an assessment made tomorrow on whether they're going to allow the people of Grindavik to return to their homes. The earliest they could possibly return would be on Thursday this week, before Christmas. Many of the residents, probably 90% of the residents, want to return before Christmas. And you can't blame them. They were taken out of their homes because of what has happened. And the ground is still shaking. There's still magmatic activity happening, just like this that happened last night. This is just one of the fissures that opened up last night. And it has formed a volcanic cone. And we showed you video last night of that cone actually having lava cascading down the side of the cone, almost like a waterfall, but in this case it was a lava fall down the side of that cone. Lava is still erupting, and it probably will still erupt for quite a while. Right now, it is unknown what is going to happen. It is totally unknown what is going to happen. They don't know. They honestly do not know what is going to happen. The scientists can form conjectures, yes, they can have any kind of ideas whatsoever of what could happen. But right now, they honestly just don't know. Okay? I wish I could tell you. I wish I could take an educated guess myself as to what is going to happen here in Iceland. I don't know. I'm a citizen scientist, as are many other people. And I've seen what has happened. I really have. I've seen exactly what has happened. And it blows my mind to see what is going on. I was not ready for any of this. A lot of scientists were not ready for any of this either. It is hard to understand and almost impossible to even fathom the belief that nothing's going on. And it is. It is going on. But nobody can just say it's not going to happen. Nobody's going to say it's going to happen. Because really nobody is certain what is going to happen. This eruption could end in the next few days. It could end in the next few weeks, as the other eruptions have in the past. Okay? I'm just saying. Some of the other eruptions have ended within a few days, at the most 2 weeks. But we don't know. This is a live picture right now from the Slingerfeld camera. I'm showing you a live picture of what's happening there. Nobody knows how long it's going to continue. We don't know. We just plain don't know. Now we're getting we are getting some interference here. Some of this interference is from solar flares. Some of it is because we are being buffered. We go between 2,600 gigabytes per second all the way down to 16 or 1700 bytes per second, kilobytes per second. But this is a live picture of what's going on there in Iceland today. You can still see that fissure moving. Great big huge tall fountains of lava are fountaining up. And you can see the clouds of ash and steam coming from the fissure. Now, while it may seem daunting to see these clouds, folks, 6 to 7% of magma is water. 6 to 7% of magma is water. So part of this, and I would say a great majority of this, is just steam coming from the magma. There is some ash, of course. There's also sulfuric gases coming up and CO2, carbon dioxide. But this is what's going on over there in Iceland today. I don't believe it's going to end anytime soon. If it was, we would tell you that. But this is a live eruption from Iceland RUV. I wanted to show you this before we get any further into the program. This has been a main part of the program since it happened last night. In Iceland, this constitutes a grave emergency that could affect a lot of people. But right now, today, everyone in Iceland is safe. This is not posing a hazard to almost anyone, except if they got too close to this lava field. The lava field's still very hot. No one should approach these lava fields at all. They're brand new lava fields. Most of this lava is coming up out of the ground at 2,500 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know how hot that is in Celsius, but it is very hot. It could kill people if they're exposed to the lava heat or the heat from the lava. It's not a good thing. Okay? But this is what's happening there in Greenland. Does anybody have any questions here? Penny Salmons is in here in the chat, says, looks smoking hot there. Yes, it is. Okay? It's smoking hot. NCWQ Explorer Rebecca was on the air earlier today for about 5 or 6 hours. She was talking about this. She was also talking about earthquakes around the world. One of the things that she was talking about, the earthquakes that USGS says we're having and the earthquakes that are actually happening now. A huge difference. What USGS says happened is only a small part, a fraction of what's actually happened. The EMSC, the European agency, is now, as of a few months ago, only reporting a handful of earthquakes. The USGS is also reporting only a handful of earthquakes. Sometimes European agency and the US agency agree. A great period of time, they don't. They still don't. The European agencies are still reporting more earthquakes than the US agency. Several months ago, things changed. The European agency, the EMSC, was reporting almost all of the earthquakes that were happening around the world. Then, several months ago, all of a sudden it stopped. The reporting of the earthquakes literally stopped. Why? Why did they stop? I believe that the United States agency, the USGS, United States Geological Survey, met with representatives of the European agency, the EMSC. And they talked to the Europeans and told them, hey, we don't want you telling everybody what's going on. We need you to cut back on your earthquake reporting. Because if it doesn't stop and you continue reporting all the earthquakes, U.S. citizens are going to get their shorts in a knot. Because if they see what's going on, they're going to get bothered. And they're going to want to leave their homes, their businesses, and wherever they're at to get away from the danger of the earthquakes. That is what the USGS has been saying for a long time. A lot of people don't even understand the danger that they are in because the USGS doesn't want them to know. And that's going on literally around the world now. The EMSC European agency has stopped reporting a good deal of their earthquakes. They're only reporting a few here and there, at best. At best. And that's what NCWQ was reporting today. Now, one of the other reasons she was on the air today, apparently she has gotten her financial allowance from the government for January to pay her rent and her few other bills. Today, her alternator quit on her. She couldn't charge her car, it wouldn't start. She paid $400 out of the money that she had for rent for January. And so now she's $400 short. She was on the air today to try to raise money to pay January's rent. And I wish her the best of luck. That's why I'm telling all of you about it. She's in a real hurt. Rebecca's saying it was yesterday. I'm sorry. So the starter event was yesterday. But she's trying to raise money. She even started another GoFundMe page. And she hasn't had much success. She's got to come up with $400 before a week from Monday so she can pay her January's rent. I hope she can do it. If anybody here is willing to help her, please go over to her GoFundMe page. You can find a link to it on her Facebook page where you can help her. Okay? We really appreciate all your help to her and to our fundraising on our page. We really appreciate it. NCWQ Explorer says it's under her videos. So you can find that fundraising page or fundraising information below her videos today. Okay? And also YouTube has blacklisted her as they blacklisted me. YouTube has again demonetized this channel. Don't know why. We got an email from YouTube about 2 weeks ago saying, sorry, it's already done. It's over. Your page isn't monetized. Fantasy Dog says he just gave us a $5 super chat. Fantasy Dog says, I sent you $100 on PayPal yesterday. You're getting your shots. Not on my watch. I will help her. Thank you so much, Fantasy Dog. We appreciate that greatly. God bless you for that. I really do appreciate that. That means a great deal to me. Anyway, does anybody else have any questions about what is happening in Iceland? We're showing you a live video feed from Iceland RUV, which is an English language feed from Iceland today, showing us exactly what's going on. We appreciate that. Fantasy Dog, thank you. Okay, nobody has any more questions about that. Yesterday I told you that we were going to be talking about New Madrid Fault today. And that's exactly where we're going next. We're going to talk about the New Madrid Fault. It was reported to us yesterday that over in Illinois that they had had a 3.2 earthquake. That's a fact. That's a fact. Now, let me pull up the picture that I wanted to show you from what happened in Illinois. Waltonville, Illinois had a 3.2 earthquake. A 3.2 earthquake. Okay? Earthquakes are happening. This is the northern end of the New Madrid Fault. The northern end of the New Madrid Fault. Now, why is it happening? Why is it happening? What have I been explaining to you about the New Madrid Fault over the years here? Okay, a couple years ago, I pointed out that nothing was going on the New Madrid Fault. All we were having was only minor tremors. At best, up and down the entire fault, north to south and over to the northeast as well, in Ohio and that area. All we were having was minor tremors. And that was it. 1.2s, 1.7s, 1.5 tremors. That was all that was happening 2 years ago. Now, things have greatly changed on the New Madrid Fault. This is a seismogram from Illinois today. This is a seismogram from Fairfield, Illinois. You can see the earthquakes and the tremors all around Fairfield today. You can see the whole thing happening. Okay? All we're seeing here today are tremors and minor earthquakes. 2.0, 2.5, maybe 2.8 earthquakes here in Fairfield, Illinois today. That's all. That was this morning. That is the information from this morning. This afternoon it continued. Look at this. You can see it continued. It did not stop. Seismic energy does not stop. It really doesn't. It might slow down, but it doesn't stop. Especially on a fault like this. I'm just telling you, it does not stop at all. Over in Stronghurst, Illinois, this afternoon, there wasn't much activity this morning, so I didn't show it to you. But I'm showing you Stronghurst, Illinois today, this afternoon. This is exactly what I'm talking about. The earthquake over there on the block this afternoon. This earthquake happened just after 3 p.m. This earthquake appears to be a 3.0. We can only see the bottom. I don't understand why we don't see the top. This appears that it could have been a 3.0 today, Stronghurst, Illinois. But prior to that, at 2:55 p.m., we had a 2.3, 2.4 earthquake, minor earthquake on that green line to the right. Before that, we had some tremors, and after that, we had more tremors. But we go back to this earthquake at 2:55 this afternoon. Over to the right of that earthquake, we have a secondary wave, don't we? It almost looks like a small triangle there. This small secondary wave lasted 30 seconds after this earthquake finished. About 30 seconds of secondary wave. This tells me, folks, that someone turned down the seismograph. Someone turned down the seismograph on this particular station, which tells me that both of these earthquakes were larger than they're saying they are. The secondary wave on that second one after 3:03 p.m. this afternoon, that secondary wave there lasted about 40 seconds. So that tells me this earthquake was at least a 3.0 earthquake. But that one that happened at 2:55, it also tells me that it was larger than what they're saying it is. They turned the seismograph down. This was probably a 2.5 minor earthquake. As it's showing right now, it's just barely a 2.2, 2.3. That was at least a 2.5 earthquake. And you can see the other tremors here as well. So there are earthquakes happening on the northern part of the New Madrid Fault. Absolutely they are. No one can deny that except for the agencies. The agencies would have us believe, oh no, nothing's happening. Folks, let's go over to Evansville, Indiana. Evansville, Indiana. Now, you have to look closely at this seismogram, okay? Because they've got all kinds of artifact. Artifact is all this jumbled up, zigzaggy lines all over the seismogram. All of that is artifact. However, you can tell that there are small tremors happening all day long over here in Evansville, Indiana. This seismograph is located, the seismograph that put this seismogram on is located at the University of Evansville in Indiana, a highly acclaimed university in Indiana. So folks, for this seismogram to show so much artifact, it only stands to reason that the agency doesn't want us to see what's really happening. So they're trying to disregard it by putting all this artifact in, hoping we won't see exactly what we're seeing here. You can still see the tremors here, regardless of what they do. And they do this a lot. They do this a lot. Okay? It's sad. It's so very sad it's not funny. Now, I want to go over to Arkansas. Let's go over to the south part of the middle of the United States, Arkansas. This happens to be in Catfish, Arkansas. Look what we're seeing here. This seismogram was from this morning. The seismogram starts off at midnight up at the top. The top black line is midnight. What we're seeing here after 2:15 on the red line here. Over on the left hand side it's 2:15. Over here is a different story. This is just about 2:25 a.m. this morning. We start off with what appears to be a 1.7, 1.8 tremor. Okay? It's approaching a 2.0, but I believe it's probably a 1.7, 1.8 tremor. Not just one, but many tremors. You see multiple vertical lines here. That means there's a series of tremors there. Then off to the right, you see it calmed down for a little while. Then we had more tremors, probably a 1.3, 1.4 tremor at best. Then it calms down again. Then we have a much larger earthquake. It appears that this is a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake here. Okay? This happened at 2:26 a.m. this morning. 2:26 a.m. this morning. Good sized earthquake, huh? It's still a minor earthquake. But the problem again is after the main shock. See that primary wave right there? If we go out to the right, again, we have at least 35 to 40 seconds of secondary wave, meaning the seismic wave isn't through shaking, but we're having a secondary wave of shaking going on. Tremors, most of it. But that secondary wave went on for 35 to 40 seconds. Again, this appears to be a 2.7, 2.8. There is a very good possibility that this was a 3.0 earthquake. A 3.0 earthquake. Again, the agency turning down the seismograph. Okay? You can see what I'm seeing. And you have to come to the same realization that I do. They're doctoring the quakes because we can see the secondary wave. The secondary wave tells the story. Okay? Then we come down over here to the bottom right hand side. Okay? In this case, on this green line, this would, over on the left hand side, this would be 7:45 a.m. Over here on the right hand side, the primary wave happened just before 8 a.m. It started long before that. It started at about 7:45 a.m. with just minor low tremor activity. 0.1, 0.2 tremors. That's all. Prior to that, it was probably just microquake activity. But the tremor activity lasted 3 minutes. That tremor activity before that big quake happened lasted about 3 minutes. Then it went to 2.0 status and then got large. Okay? The center point, the primary wave here, is probably a 3.0 earthquake. We can't see the bottom for whatever reason, but we see the top part of the primary wave here. That primary wave looks like it's a 3.0 earthquake. And you can see other primary waves as well. This is just not a one time, here you go, man, and it's gone. It's not the case. Multiple primary waves of probably 3.0 shaking going on. Then we have some other secondary waves. The secondary waves here lasted nearly a full minute, maybe just a little bit longer. That is why I believe that this earthquake was a 3.0. Because of the length of the primary waves and the length of the secondary wave. The horizontal length of the secondary wave. That tells us a lot. A lot. Okay? So, folks, guess what we have here? Catfish Pond, Arkansas, this morning. We have 3 earthquakes. 3 felt earthquakes here. And folks, let's go look at this afternoon. Because we're not done here. We're not done at all. Look at this afternoon here. No, we don't have 3.0 earthquakes. However, we have a lot of tremor activity. The tremor activity after 2:15, and actually the tremor activity happened before that. Okay? It happened after 2:25 p.m. this afternoon. Just tiny tremor activity. And it built into, excuse me, it built into a larger tremor. Now, it is possible that this seismogram was doctored. The seismograph that recorded it was turned down. This earthquake that you see here on this red line here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is 2:35 p.m. this afternoon. This could be a 2.0 earthquake, if I'm thinking right. Because again, we have a long secondary wave to the right of the primary waves of this earthquake. Okay? I'm just saying. We know this morning's was turned down as well. We understand what's going on here. Yes, they do play games. They do. We proved it before. Let's go over to Manila South in Arkansas. Okay, what do we have here in Manila, Arkansas? This morning, folks, this happened after 8:30, almost 8:39 a.m., nearly 8:39 a.m. this morning, almost 8:40. Actually, this is 8:44 here, not 8:39. This is 8:44 a.m. this morning. This is at least a 3.2 earthquake. This is a small 3.2 earthquake here in Manila, Arkansas this morning. And you can see we also had some other very minor tremors. Very, very minor tremors here in Manila, Arkansas today. Let's go over to Marktree, Arkansas. As we pointed out before, in Marktree, Arkansas, there is a lot of activity, and that's been going on. This has been going on for a very long time. Marktree, Arkansas looks like Bombay Beach over in California. It also looks like another place called Walnut La Puente over in Los Angeles. Another volcano. I don't think this is a volcano over in Arkansas at all. This, however, is seismic energy on the New Madrid Fault. This just barely on the eastern side of the New Madrid Fault. Okay, you can see quite a number of 3.0 earthquakes, and these earthquakes last quite a while. These earthquakes last quite a while. This earthquake this morning, this happened at just after midnight this morning. Okay? It started off with tremors from the very beginning at midnight. Very tiny tremors and microquakes. Then over the next 5 minutes, until about 12:05, all of a sudden we had 1.0 tremors. And then the tremors lasted 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 tremors for another 2.5 minutes. Then those tremors began to have 2.0 earthquakes. The seismic energy grew up. That seismic energy grew up very fast because 2 minutes after it started, all of a sudden we had 3.0 earthquakes. Those 3.0 earthquakes lasted 2.5 minutes. This earthquake sequence here, 3.0, 3.2 small earthquakes, lasted 2.5 minutes. Okay? Earth is under a lot of pressure here. This is a ton of pressure. No mistake about it. This is a ton of pressure here on the New Madrid Fault. Now, after that ends, we have a secondary wave. That secondary wave lasts nearly 3 minutes. Off to the right. That's how come we know that this was at least a 3.0, 3.2 earthquake. Number one, it lasted almost 3 minutes. Number two, the secondary wave did last 3 minutes. That is still an awful lot of shaking going on. The ground didn't stop. It kept going. Then after 1:30 a.m. this morning, it starts again. A bunch of tremors, but this time all we have is like a 2.5, 2.8 earthquake at best. That earthquake energy lasted nearly 2.5 minutes. Okay? Then after 2 a.m. this morning, let's count it out exactly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 minutes after 2 this morning. The tremors have already started before that. But at 2:08 this morning, the tremors kicked into higher gear. 2.3, 2.4 tremors, or 1.4, 1.4, 1.2, 1.4 tremors. It kicks up very quickly to 2.0, 3.0 earthquake. How do we know that? At first, you don't see a 3.0 earthquake here. But look at this secondary wave again. We have to look at the secondary wave. The secondary wave here lasted nearly 2 minutes again. That tells me this was at least a 3.0 earthquake. What happened down here at 1, 2, 3, 4 a.m. this morning? That earthquake actually started at 3:58 a.m. this morning with tremors. At 3:59 a.m. this morning, over on the right-hand side on the green line, it kicked up. Bigger and bigger tremors. 1.5, 1.6, 1.8. Pretty soon 2.0 earthquake, and larger than that. We probably had a 3.0 earthquake even before 4 a.m. this morning. But 4 a.m. this morning, it kicked into higher gear. 4 a.m. this morning, we have 3.0 earthquakes lasting another minute and a half here. Okay, Marked Tree, Arkansas. And you can see other earthquakes here as well this morning. Look at that. Over here at the bottom on the right-hand side. Folks, look at that. Now we're having 3.5, maybe 3.8 earthquakes. Upper side of small. Okay? 3.8 earthquake here. This, folks, is at 11:27 a.m. this morning. It started way before that. But the 3.0, 3.5 earthquakes, the shaking starts at about 27 minutes after that. Okay? 3.5 earthquakes, guys. Marked Tree, Arkansas. I didn't check with the authorities at Marked Tree, Arkansas today, but in the past I have called them. And yes, they felt some kind of shaking going on. 3.0, 3.9 are considered to be small earthquakes. 3.5 to 3.9 are upper threes, meaning the energy is getting real. It's not just rumbling beneath their feet. Not just rumbling beneath your feet. If you're sitting down, you feel your chair shaking, maybe moving across the floor. The same thing with any tables or other furniture that's not secured to the walls. Okay? This is real. We've seen this here at Marked Tree, Arkansas before. Okay? Let's look here at Marked Tree this afternoon. It didn't stop, did it? It got less, but it didn't stop. Okay? Let me reduce the size of this seismogram. so we can really take a look at what we're seeing here. Down here, 1, 2, 3, 4. Down here after 4:30 this afternoon. 4:30 this afternoon is over on the left-hand side on the blue line. So over here in the middle, this is about 4:40 p.m. this afternoon. Again, we're seeing 3.03.3 earthquake activity. It lasted 2 minutes. That energy lasted 2 minutes. What we've seen today in Marktree is just prim and proper. It continues to happen every day. This is just not Tuesday, December 19th. This is happening every day. I can show you seismic activity here at Marktree every day. It's mimicking itself. It literally happens every day. Now, I'm just briefly going to show you around just a little bit here. Because, folks, we have some other things I want to show you and do. Okay? Let's go over here and look at Truman, Arkansas. Truman, Arkansas is south of Marktree. We still have a lot of seismic energy here. Again, this is over on the eastern side of the New Madrid Fault, right close to the fault. Stephen Braden just gave us another $10 super chat. Thank you, Stephen. We greatly appreciate that. God bless you for that. We appreciate any and all super chats that you give us supporting our program. Or if you go over to PayPal, we greatly appreciate your support there as well. It means a lot. It helps us pay the bills for this channel. Just a little bit off the subject. When I first started this channel, I didn't believe that we would need help paying the bills to keep this channel on the air. It takes money to keep it on the air. We have to buy bandwidth from the internet service. Bandwidth, as it turns out, is expensive, and it gets more and more expensive almost every month. We're probably paying upwards of $175 for basic cable and internet service. Basic cable and internet service. We do not have HBO or Cinemax or anything like that. We don't have that. We have basic cable. The local channels and HGTV, and that's just about it. Okay? We don't pay a huge amount for TV, but we are paying a great deal of money right now for internet service. It's huge, and it's increasing almost every month. But here, okay, here at Truman, Arkansas, you'd almost think that Truman, Arkansas was looking like New Madrid. It's on the New Madrid. You would think this was looking at Marktree. Look at the earthquake down at the bottom on the left-hand side here. Okay? Folks, this is just, on the left-hand side, this is just 11:15 this morning. The seismic energy started before that on the right-hand side on the black line. 11:28 this morning. Tremor activity. And it built and built and built up until we had 3.0 activity here this morning at 11:15. That is a ton of activity, guys. That is literally a ton of activity. I kid you not. It's insane. It literally is insane. I want to show you Portageville, Missouri, the center part of the New Madrid Fault. Look what we're seeing here at Portisville. The same thing we were seeing over at Mark Tree, Arkansas. This is the center of the New Madrid Fault, Missouri. Look at this. This is insanity. This is insanity. Hurricane Heather says they don't call it programming for no reason. You're right. Oh, I get so PO'd, guys, when I see the cost of internet service skyrocketing. Skyrocketing. And then when I see our internet service being interrupted and being buffered off the air like it's been done about a week or so ago. Yeah, it took us off the air. I don't like that. Don Patoga says, what is TV? Political indoctrination. Folks, my wife and I watch HGTV. That's political indoctrination on another scale. Okay? Incredible. Anyway, Aubrey's saying, is that the red quake that's cut off? What you're seeing here in Portisville, Missouri, the earthquake is not cut off at all. This earthquake happened after 3:15 this morning. Started off as tremors. Then it built up to a 3.0 earthquake. That 3.0 earthquake lasted a minute and a half. Then off to the right of that, we have a secondary wave, don't we? That secondary wave lasted 2 minutes. So what we're seeing on the primary wave here, okay, I believe that this seismograph was doctored. They turned the seismograph down. In order for us to have a 3.0 earthquake and have a secondary wave lasting 2 minutes, you can't do that. In order for there to be a secondary wave that lasted 2 minutes, the primary wave had to be larger than what they're saying it is. This is probably a 3.5 earthquake here in Portisville, Missouri, the center part of the New Madrid Fault. Unreal. Unreal. Demon Catman says, I hold a media diploma and worked alongside a large media company for 3 years. The things I saw. I can only imagine, Demon Catman, the things you did see. That's insane. That's insane. Just like these earthquakes here. Now this morning after 11:30 a.m. we had another earthquake here. This earthquake by itself might have been a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. But again, we have a secondary wave. That secondary wave lasted about a minute or so, which means the primary wave here was at least a 3.0, 3.1. Portisville, Missouri, in the center of the New Madrid Fault, guys. And it's not the only thing going on here. It's not. I wish it was. Now, I'm going to talk tomorrow about the eastern side of the continent, the east coast of the United States. But I want to show you what happened at Ridgely, Tennessee today. Look at this. Again, you see gobbledygook. This is this afternoon at Ridgely, Tennessee. Up at the top of this, the black line this afternoon is at noon. This red line is after 12:30 p.m. this afternoon. You see tremors, You see 2.7, 2.8 earthquakes. Then, at 12:04 p.m. this afternoon, we have a 3.0 earthquake, Ridgely, Tennessee. This is not on the USGS map. They're not showing either the tremors or the earthquakes here on the USGS map. They're never going to show them. They're never going to show them until we have a major earthquake on the New Madrid Fault. They're never going to show them, period. They know better than that. Because if they did, people would be moving away from the center part of the United States, and they'd be moving away in droves. Nobody wants to get killed. Nobody wants to get their family members killed. But guess what? It was not just at Ridgely, Tennessee. Guess what else? It happened again at Tiptonville, Tennessee, literally all day long. Tiptonville, Tennessee, at the top of this seismogram. That's midnight. You can see the tremors and minor earthquakes happening here. The black lines up at the top, reaching up past the white on the paper. Those earthquakes are 2.0 earthquakes. You can see the seismic energy up and down throughout this seismogram. At some points, we had 3.0 earthquakes here in Tiptonville, Tennessee. You can see it here. And look at the bottom, guys. Look at the bottom, I kid you not. Looking at the bottom, you can see the seismic waves going down. Not going down in strength. You can see the seismic waves hitting. Folks, it's more than 2.0 earthquakes. 2.5, maybe even 3.0 earthquakes this morning. That was this morning. How about this afternoon? What happened today at Tiptonville, Tennessee this afternoon? Look at this. If this doesn't tell the story, I don't know what does. The top line here on the black line is 12 noon. Throughout this seismogram, we're seeing at least 2.0, 3.0, which is small earthquakes. 2.0 is minor. 3.0 is small earthquakes. Look what happened down here at the bottom. Over on the bottom left, you see 3.0 earthquake activity. And you see minor earthquake activity as well. But we continue over to the black line, which happened before that red line on the left. That black line is also showing us small earthquakes. Tiptonville, Tennessee also had small earthquakes today. We have never seen this activity here at Tiptonville before. This is new. This is brand new. Okay? This activity was sharp all day long. I just showed you here. This is not a joke. I just showed you 15, 16 hours of seismic activity from midnight until 5 p.m. today, and even after 5:15 on that red line. This is not a joke. This is not a joke at all. 16, 17 hours of 3.0 activity. 3.0 activity will knock people off their ball, off their game. 3.0 activity, people will feel shaking beneath their feet. And some of this shaking was larger than 3.0. I am sure of that. This is a lot of activity along the New Madrid Fault. If the agency does not do something soon, they will soon be eating crow. They will soon be eating crow. Why? Because they cannot continue going on like this. People are going to feel this. People are already feeling it. We had many people telling us the other day that they were feeling shaken in Illinois. And yes, finally, the agencies allowed a 3.2 earthquake to be shown to the public. In Illinois, I just got through showing you minor earthquake activity in Illinois all day long. Not a joke. Literally all day long. It's happening, guys. Is anybody going to do anything about it? Is anybody going to come to the realization that this is getting to be dangerous? The seismic activity that I've reported on during the past 4.5 years has had a marked increase in activity over the past 4.5 years. Went from minor tremor activity all up to small, possibly even moderate activity on the New Madrid Fault. Do I think we're going to have a 7.0 major activity within the next 5 years? Yes. The answer overwhelmingly is yes. There is going to be major seismic activity here on the New Madrid Fault within the next 5 years. Promise. It is going to happen. Without a doubt, it's going to happen. You guys can follow the USBS as long as you want. I have been showing you all of the activity. USGS is not reporting it. They're not reporting on the activity over in Iceland. They're not reporting on the activity over in the Pacific Northwest. They're not hardly reporting on the activity in Hawaii. They're not reporting on the activity in Australia, South America, Central America, anywhere. They're just not doing it. Somebody like myself has to show it. And that's why we're doing this. That's exactly why we're doing it. Why did we show you all this activity in Iceland? Because, folks, it could have resulted in people being hurt and killed last night. It could still happen. We are not going to stop reporting on the activity. The only way it could happen to stop us is if they shut us down permanently. I'll just go over to Rumble. I've been talking about going to Rumble for quite a while, and I am going to do it. If they turn me off here, I will be on Rumble permanently. Before Christmas, I plan on doing at least an hour show on Rumble this week. This week. Does anybody have any questions about anything we've talked about tonight? Does anybody have any questions about anything we've talked about tonight? Folks, I'm about to call our friend over in Connecticut. I don't see him on YouTube, so I'm going to try to call him over here in Connecticut and bring him up on the air. His name is Mark Pyers. I wanted to have him on the air last night. He had some family obligations to take care of. That's why he was not on the air last night. But we are trying to bring him on the air tonight. His phone's ringing. Aubrey's asking, do we have any other concerns? I've got concerns all over. Hey Mark, this is Ron Tyler. I was hoping to bring you on the air tonight. I don't see you on YouTube, or I would have brought you up on the air on YouTube. It is presently 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time, and like I said, I was hoping to bring you on the air. You said you'd love to be on the air with us before we came on the air, and now we're here ready for you, and I can't see you. Anyway, I hope you have a good night, my friend. Just for everybody here on our air, Mark Pyers did a show this morning on YouTube, the Mark Inspires program. Okay? He talked about being authentic. He talked about being truthful with people. And that's what we need to be. We know that the agency has not been that. The agencies are not going to be truthful with anybody. But we will be truthful. Aubrey's asking, do I have any other concerns? Oh, yes. Earlier tonight, we talked about the Mid-Atlantic Fault pushing the North American plate in the south-southwesterly direction. Tomorrow night, I will take you to the eastern side of the North American continent, Canada and the United States, and I will show you the earthquakes that are happening. Some of them are larger than you would believe, more than just tremors. So folks, that's what we have for you. That's what we have for you tonight. Now, folks, as you might have guessed, this is the beginning of the Christmas holiday. The Christmas holiday. Matthew talks about it. Matthew in the New Testament talks about it. Matthew chapter 1 verse 18. Now the birth of Jesus Christ was on this wise. When his mother Mary was espoused to Joseph before they came together, she was found with child of the Holy Ghost. Then Joseph, her husband, being a just man, and not willing to make her a public example, was minded to put her away privily. But behold, he thought on these things, and behold, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream, saying, Joseph, thou son of David. Folks, did you know that Joseph the carpenter was a relative of the prophet David in the Old Testament? Yes, he was. He was of royal lineage. Royal lineage. The angel said, fear not to take unto thee Mary thy wife, for that which is conceived in her is of the Holy Ghost. And she shall bring forth a child, and thou shalt call his name Jesus, for he shall save his people from their sins. Now all this was done that it might be fulfilled, which was spoken of the Lord by the prophet, saying, behold, a virgin will be with child, and shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which being interpreted is God with us. Then Joseph, being raised from sleep, did as the angel of the Lord had bidden him, and took unto him his wife, Mary, and knew her not until she had brought forth her firstborn son, and they called his name Jesus. That is what we are celebrating this weekend. Sunday is Christmas Eve. Brothers and sisters, I have a testimony that our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is with us. Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is blessing us, not just this program, but each and every one of us. If we are willing to take upon his name upon us and do his will, obeying his commandments and living a good life, we can have the Lord's Spirit to be with us, to guide and direct us. There's a lot of stuff happening in our lives today, in our world. We can stop it. We can stop it. A lot of the stuff that's happening was foretold by the prophets as well. We were told that America will be a choice land. We were told that America would be a choice land as long as the inhabitants of the land obeyed the commandments of God. As we all know, that has not completely happened, and more people have turned away from the Lord. Brothers and sisters, it's our duty. It's our duty as servants of God here on this earth to do our best to turn this problem around so that we might again have peace on this earth. I still have a belief that it could happen. It could happen as long as we take action to make it happen. We appreciate each and every one of you being here. Richard Smith is over in the chat. I want to link with my local repeater Christmas Eve and try to wish Ron a Merry Christmas. I would love that. I would love that. Let's talk about it. Send me an email and let's talk about that. I ask the Lord's choicest blessings upon each and every one of you. May the Lord bless you. Always bless you. Some of us need more blessings right now than others, and that's typical. That will always happen. But may the Lord bless you and give you the things that you need, so that you will be able to worship God as you should. May God bless you with these things. And I ask that humbly. I ask that humbly, even in the very name of Jesus Christ. Amen. Brothers and sisters, we will be back on the air tomorrow. If anything else happens tonight, we'll be back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. We are going to be monitoring what is going on in Iceland literally all night, as we did last night. If anything major changes there, well, again, we'll come on the air to tell you about it. We will be here for you. We always have been and always will. God be with you till we meet again. We will see you on the other side. Good night, everybody. Much love.